Good evening, everybody. We've got another game of Dead by Daylight, and this time I'm going to show how I play against Wraith. Wraith is an invisible killer. He's able to cloak his entire appearance, and this makes it pretty challenging to combat Wraith, especially since my build does not have Spine Chill. Now, even though I don't have Spine Chill, which means I can't see when Wraith is looking at me, it is still possible to spot the Wraith by looking into the distance and trying to see if there's any wavy, cloaky distortions moving around. That would be a sure sign that Wraith is in the area. Now, another way to tell if Wraith is nearby is by simply just using your game sense. So, position is I open up with a generator in the shack. Okay, as you can see, there are 3 openings to the shack door, and I'm constantly checking these entrances to make sure that Wraith is not hovering in the background somewhere. So another survivor has come and joined me, and I leave the area because generator is half done, and Wraith would be, if he's coming from across the map, he would be quite near to finish at the moment. So I leave the area, I crouch, and I move with urban evasion. So the first thing that I try to do is I try to look for the middle generator. It's always very important to finish the middle generator early in the match so that you can have an easier time completing the rest of the gens. So because if the generators were all at the sides and corners, then towards the late game it becomes very challenging for a killer, especially one like Wraith, which has very little mobility. One like Wraith to actually cover all the generators on the map. So I check the center building to ensure that there's no gen in this area. And to my surprise, actually usually you can find a gen somewhere around here, but I didn't find any gen, so I was a bit thrown off. Tried to check if it's on the lower floors, but it's not there either. So I noticed that this is odd. There's no center generator, it turns out. So all the generators start off from the side. So I just like, alright, let's check and see. So you can hear that my teammates down at the moment probably was ambushed by Wraith. I head to the corner gen, which is in the opposite direction of where the sound came from. So my idea is to start on this corner generator and let the Wraith get his first hook of the day. Survivors, we normally can receive a grand total of like 12 hooks before we are all dead, so it's not that big of a deal. But the first thing I noted is that this guy may have been hooked in the basement, and it's just a little too far for me to come to save, so I trust my teammates would get the job done. Now, this guy's in the basement or somewhere at the corner of the map, but from my angle it looks like a basement hook. That would be pretty difficult to stop against Wraith, because they can just stand at the door of the basement, camp, and be entirely invisible. So when you think you're safe to go in for the unhook, you get ambushed and you die instead. But see, I actually mistimed the skill check, and pretty bad decision. But gen is pretty close to popping, and I'm far enough from the killer that it should not really matter that much. So what you can see is at the moment, our first down, we left her in the basement for far too long, so she's actually entered into struggle phase. And that's because my teammates were probably understandably worried about attempting a basement rescue against invisible Wraith. They probably felt that it was just too risky. But now that the second guy has been hooked, we know that Wraith is not camping the basement. So the next survivor should indeed get the unhook. So what I did was I finished this gen, and as the killer was pretty far away from me, so I wasn't really worried about an ambush, even though... Okay, so I start cleansing the totems, and right about now, okay, why do I cleanse this totem? Now, Wraiths typically, especially at the ranks that I run, they typically have this perk called No One Escapes Death, or NOED for short. What NOED does is, in the end game, it allows the Wraith to get an instant kill with just one hit instead of the normal 2 hits. And I've played enough Wraiths to know that this is a pretty serious threat. But okay, why did I just suddenly jump off? Okay, so let me just backwards for a while, and I'll show you what just happened. Okay, so I'm trusting my teammates to go rescue. I'm too far to attempt it. So you can see around here in the background, there will soon be a shimmering distortion. Right about here, you can see that there is a small movement, and this is the kind of tells you need to be watching out for if you're playing against Wraith. It's because he may be invisible, but that doesn't mean he leaves no signs whatsoever. So I immediately left, and I head to my hiding spots. So let me just play again, just to make sure that we all caught it. So right about here, you can see, yeah, it comes here. So I immediately start to run. And Wraith goes invisible again. Every time he comes out of invisibility, he announces it by ringing the bell, ding ding, or ding ding. And I head to this shack to break the line of sight. He does not. And right here I make a mistake, which is that I tried to run around a corner, but instead I bumped to this hook. So because of the mistake, I received a hit. And now I'm a little bit too far from any kind of a... And I kind of mistimed my dead hard, because I was just glancing back for a moment to see where a killer is, and turns out he is way too close. So I received my first hook, and see at this point in time, you can see my teammates. There are 2 of them in the background. They did what I felt was probably not the best play. They should have, as they saw me being picked up, they should have gone straight to the other guy who was hooked and unhooked them. So instead of doing that, oh wait, never mind. Someone else got the unhook. So there's one of my teammates just hiding in the background, and you can see her aura right here. And you see here that 3 of them are running around like a scared little chicken, and this is not necessarily what you want to do against any kind of killer, or just play a game of Dead by Daylight in general. What you should do is you should either go for rescue, or you should go for generators. So there are 2 things you should go for as a survivor. You finish the generators, you are able to escape. So instead of that, you can see that they're kind of dropping everything to come and get to me, but at the same time, they're also really hesitant about doing so, and they're just watching around and wondering, is there a Wraith? Is there an invisible Wraith? And just crouching in the bushes and crouching, and all 3 of them hit for the rescue, which is kind of touching, really. But you really could, against a good killer, lose the entire game just based on this, because now that all 3 survivors are in the same area, Wraith could hit the ding ding and immediately start slugging the 3 of them, and the match would be basically over. But fortunately for us, it seems like Wraith is not in the area, and you can see that she's also hesitating to unhook, despite the fact that she's right in front like right in front of me, and she doesn't do the unhook. So don't hang around. And right now, you see my teammates, they're still running around, kind of like scared little chicken, and they even block my path from escaping. So where do I escape? Now, normally for survivors, I notice that many of them tend to run off into the bushes, trying to hide, blend in the grass. But as for me, I didn't do this in this game. Now, why didn't I do that? It's because Wraith has a really good line of sight, especially many Wraiths I see like to use that perk that allows them to see further in the distance. So instead I head into the building. Now building is a safer place for me because the Wraith doesn't have line of sight around the walls. And if the Wraith is, as I suspected, running some kind of eyesight perk, then they would be able to see me in the distance and quickly zone me out of the game and chase me down, especially now that I'm injured and I've just been hooked. So I find this corner. I'm hiding in the shadow of the cupboard and healing myself while still checking the background for any Wraiths. So I can hear that Wraith has gone into cloak, but he does not seem to have figured out where I was. So I fully healed myself with the med kit, and now I go to the top floor to get some information on where he is. I saw that Blended over there has also gone to the top floor. So I'm checking, and I saw him here. Now, I'm not worried because in this position, Wraith has to climb a bunch of stairs in order to get me. And since he has to climb the stairs, by the time he reaches the top, I would be long gone. But the thing that I do not want to do, and it's absolutely important, is I do not want to run around like a chicken and start jumping off, because if I jump off, that allows the Wraith to get an easy chase on me. So I watch and see, and Wraith just disappears because he's like, nope, this guy is on too strong a tile. It's not worth climbing the stairs. I'll be gone. I have urban evasion. I could easily disappear into cupboards, bushes, behind lockers, everything. And at the moment he hasn't cloaked, you see. So I would be able to hear him just from the heartbeat. He needs to ring the bell to cloak up, and I heard the noise, and you can see that the noise is coming from over there. She's down from the other corner. So what I do is I immediately goof around the area, and I wait for her to be picked up, because sometimes Wraith would just slug and try to come up the stairs, look for me, because he did see me after all. But now that he has picked her up, I decided to hide in a locker just to counter a possible barbecue and chili, which is a perk that allows killer to see survivors once they hook someone, and the way to counter it is to hide in a locker to mask your aura. So my aura is not visible. I'm reasonably confident that Wraith has not spotted me at all. So I exit the locker and I go for the safe hook rescue. Earlier when I was working on the generator across the map, I did not go for the safe, and instead I chose to work on the generator so that we have more progress. And you can see that if I had gone to unhook her, and it would have been 3 gens left instead of 2 gens left. So there's a bit of a glitch here, but I'm going back to my hiding space. I expected Blended to come with me so that I could heal her, but instead she tucked off into the bushes, and probably she has self-care. It's a common Blended perk. Anyway, I'm back in this locker in case killer comes to check. I know he's not invisible at the moment because I can hear his heartbeat. So I do not want to exit this building because I might come out from the wrong side, and now you can see my teammate has finished the corner gen. This brings us to just 1 generator left to escape. But someone did fall down, and at this moment I decided that I'm done hiding in lockers. I've got to do the final gen. So where do I head to? I go straight to the shack, which is, if you remember, where I started the game and where me and 3 survivors partially completed a generator. And as you can see, when I left this shack, if you remember, the generator was almost half done before I just decided, no, I'm not finishing this shit. I'm not finishing this shit even if I have like 2 or 3 teammates around me. I'm not committing to this. I'm moving off first. Now, there's a few reasons. The first reason is, as I said, the killer, if he's on his way to the shack, he would have found me. And the shack's usually the location for the basement as well, so it's not really a place that you want to get hooked in the start of the game. As you can see, that guy who got hooked in the basement was actually taken all the way to the struggle phase before our team could mount a successful rescue. But now, there's another thing, is that this killer shack in this particular random map generation has spawned in the corner tile. That makes it a perfect location to do the final generator. It's the perfect final generator. There's no final generator that is more perfect than this. Now, you can see that this generator is like about 55% repaired. And I could go for the rescue, but instead of that, I decided, no, I am not rescuing my teammates, even though being 2 men down is actually a very bad situation. But I decided that I'm not going to risk my life to save the 2 of them because they're way too close to each other. And if the Wraith is patrolling the area or camping that area, he could easily be invisible and I wouldn't see him until it's too late. I will just feed him a 3rd kill. So nope, I'm finishing this gen instead because we're almost done, and once we finish this, we can just get the hell out of here. So, well, my teammates just have to be patient, and as you can see, the Wraith didn't actually pick up the second guy. So if he doesn't pick up the second guy, it's a strong sign that he's slugging that survivor, and he's instead going around to find the final 2 survivors in order to snowball the game and win the match. So instead of doing that, I'm just staying in this shack because it's a pretty safe shack. I'm not going to risk my life or anything. Just make the safe decision, and as you can see here, my teammate lost his nerve and just decided to commit suicide right on the first hook, even without going into struggle phase. Now that's not so good. It's a dumb thing to do because you see now you really just threw the game. You know, there's still a chance that we could come and rescue you, but you just like, oh, no one came to save me in 10 minutes or 10 seconds. I'm just out of here. So you can see there was 2 doors light up. The 2 exit gates that light up, one of the exit gates is closer to me, so naturally I head to this one and I start opening the gates. So as you can see, the Wraith has successfully downed the second person by now. And since he has downed the second person, I am actually the last person left on this map that is actually playing the game. So I'm just committing to this door, and I could actually open this exit and get the hell out of here. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Save your own skin, man. Why risk your life to save people you don't know? But this guy's on his first hook. That guy isn't even picked up. I mean, come on, man. We gotta put some effort. So at about 99% of opening the escape, I do not open the escape doors, and I go around again, and I decided I'm going to go for the rescue. So now I noticed that the guy who's being slugged at the beginning, he wasn't really healed, so I thought that maybe the Wraith had actually forgotten where he was, or maybe he had wriggled to a spot that the Wraith could no longer see. So I went to save him, and the other guy's also on the hook, but I thought that, nope, I'll just do some healing so that we could save this guy and get to the doors. So instead of going for the unhook, and at this point, the guy on struggle, either his timer ran out or he just gave up. Maybe he just gave up and decided, forget about it. I'm out of here. Like or his timer might have also ran out, because we did take our time saving the covered guy and also healing this guy, because this is why we complete the escape gates at 99%, because you can see Wraith actually came pretty close to us, and he was about to ring the ding ding and take the down, but because gate was at 99%, we just needed to touch it and the gates open, and I tried to block the second survivor, body block the second survivor, so that if the killer gets a hit, it would be on me instead of her. But it wouldn't really matter anyway, so she got out. I stood at the door, and I just had a look at the Wraith. We had a staring contest for a little bit. I was like, yep, come and get me, man. I'm right here, mate. I'm right here. And he gets a bit too close, and I'm like, no, I'm not here anymore. Bye-bye. So, why would I do that? Okay, sometimes killers just complain, why wouldn't survivors leave? But you do get some points for being in the killer's presence. They are called bonus points, and you can see here bonus is every time you stand within the killer's terror radius, then you get a number of points, and I was just getting points at that point since the game was practically over. So just waiting for killer to make a move and try to down me, because he has to down me, otherwise I'll just be farming my blood points. And basically you can see for my score, it's just a very typical score. I gained a pip. I mean, come on, I did generators. I also escaped. I was only hooked once. I could have taken another 2 hooks. And benevolent, I did save that guy from. Remember the time I was hiding in a locker nearby to mask the barbecue and chili, and then I went for the safe hook rescue. And I also healed somebody else, during this game. No, I healed myself, and maybe that counts as. I don't think I healed anyone. I healed myself, and that counts as survivor's healed, since I'm a survivor too. So as for evasion, you can see evasion is the ability to evade the killer or stay within the killer's terror radius and avoid it. I didn't really encounter the killer all that much, because I just used my senses, my sight, and I used my knowledge of where the killer was, in order to make sure that I very rarely am within his chasing area. And there was that one chase that he got, and I think I lasted about 20 seconds at least before I went down, which is pretty good value, because 20 seconds is 1/4 of a generator, and could be better. But at the area that he downed me, I saw that it's actually very little place to hide. It's like it's wide open. It's nothing but a rock, and the only thing I could do is maybe try to mind game him around a rock. It was just way too fast for me. By the time I even turned back to see where he was just right there and just got hit. So otherwise, maybe there are a few tricks I could try. I could try a dead hard or something like that. But GG. So that's how this game went against Invisible Wraith, and I'll be commenting more games, because I'm going to record more of my games. Sometimes you would see me win, and sometimes you see me lose. And most important thing is that we try to learn from the mistakes. What kind of mistakes we were made in this particular game. I think that the main mistake was that moment where I ran around trying to hug the corners of this small shack, and I bumped the hook instead of going around. That allowed the killer to actually get one hit on me. So that was the mistake that I've made. So aside from that, I think I am pretty happy with the rest of the game. I really didn't see my other teammates around enough to know what actually happened to them, because most of the time they were just really far away, or they were like being hooked in the basement or something like that. But my teammates, they also played pretty well. They actually played pretty well, and you can see that the chest I opened at the start of the game gave me excellent value, gave a camping kit, which also allowed me to heal back to full health. That's pretty nice item, and I was the best performing survivor on my team, not just because I escaped, but also because I probably was the best at avoiding the killer. I never went to second hook. I was the best at juking the killer, and my hiding spots, they were chosen well, but I also didn't stay in those hiding spots for too long, because as survivor you always need to work on gens, and that's how we won the game. Because remember, at the final stages of the game where there was only one gen left, I didn't go for rescue. Instead I went for the gen, because I knew there was time. But what I didn't know was that my teammate would just give up and DC and suicide on the first hook. That part I didn't predict, but he should have stayed, because it would really have helped the survivor team. Maybe would have 3 survives instead of just 2 survives. But I always knew that the last guy on the struggle, that guy was not going to make it, because he was being hooked in a very open area. And the Wraith being entirely invisible, he could be patrolling, he could be camping the area, because come on, there was like no gens left. It was just exit gates. So what else would the killer? Well, what else would the Wraith do? I mean, maybe he didn't even go for the slug guy, because he was camping at the hook, expecting someone to come, or someone like me to come and rescue him, and he would ambush, ding ding, and he would do a ding ding and come out cloak, and he would have killed both of us. So instead I went for the guy who was slugged, because since he was being ignored for so long, I figured out that either number one, the killer forgot his location. It happens, you slug a guy and you're like, where actually did the guy fall, and you couldn't find him anymore. Or number 2, he was camping and waiting at the hook guy, so it's perfectly safe to save the slug guy. And I also managed to heal the slug guy. So that would be the one survivor that I healed throughout the match. So I healed him before we head to gates, because if you were a killer and the guy on struggle had just died, so the very first thing you would run for is gates, and it wouldn't be a reliable escape if the guy that I picked up from the ground, if he was still injured, then I think that maybe there's a chance the Wraith could have killed him, because it would only take him an additional hit to get it down. But another thing that I talked about is Noed, which could have started, which the Wraith could have equipped before the match. It turns out that he did not equip Noed, which is very good for all of us, because I doubt the survivors were doing totems, and the one time that I was trying to cleanse totems, Wraith actually just stopped me. So I couldn't do anything about that. So if he had Noed, then he had Noed. There's nothing we could have done. But we put ourselves in a good position, and we ended the game with 2 escapes, 2 deaths. It's a pretty good result. I would say. Even without perks like Spine Shield that would allow you to instantly know where the Wraith is coming to you. Even what Spine Shield does is it just lights up when the killer is heading in your direction, and that's actually a very good counter against invisible killers, since when the Spine Shield lights up and you still can't see the Wraith, you would be able to use the Spine Shield to tell that Wraith is coming, and then it would negate his invisibility. But of course, I didn't have that perk. I don't normally run Spine Shield, because I feel like it's more important to train yourself to not rely on spine chill as a perk. Instead, you should use your senses. You should look out for that wavy, cloaky distortions in the background, like a sort of like a wave kind of thing motion. And just by using that kind of visual clues, gives you the knowledge that spine chill will have given you. So GG, that was a good game. I hope to do more videos like this. Thank you very much for watching.